1990 Tour de France is the 73rd in its colourful history. It comprises 22 stages and a total of 3,400 kilometres. The race starts with a prologue time trial of 6.3 kilometres at the modernistic theme park of Futuroscope on the outskirts of Poitiers. Among these huge glass structures, 198 of the world's best cyclists are waiting to start this race against the clock. Each of the 22 teams has 3 mechanics who check and adjust wheels, pedals, the tyres and the gears. One of the favourites to win the Tour de France is the PDM rider Raúl Alcalá of Mexico, who shows deceptive power. Alcalá takes the lead with a time of 7 minutes 53.19 seconds. Gianni Bugno of Italy, the recent winner of the Giro d'Italia, expects to be one of the challengers. The Chateau d'Ax rider is a strong, stylish time trialist. But despite his style and a fast finish, his time is 21 seconds slower than Raúl Alcalá's and will be only the 29th fastest today. A year ago, the Tour Prologue was won by this man, Eric Breukink from Holland, another PDM rider and a teammate of Raúl Alcalá. But today, Breukink is below his best at Futuroscope because of a stomach virus. As he approaches the finish, his time will be outside of the best 20 riders, and that really is a disappointment. The Spaniard, Pedro Delgado, winner of the 1988 Tour de France, he'll always remember last year when he lost almost 3 minutes in this prologue time trial. He arrived late for the start, which was then in Luxembourg, but he's on time at Futuroscope. But as he approaches the finish, Pedro Delgado also concedes 20 seconds for the best time set by Alcalá. Yet another race favourite is Laurent Fignon of France. The Castorama Rally team leader won the Tour in 1983 and again in 84. He was second in 1989, that famous 8 seconds margin to the American Greg LeMond. Back injuries made him a doubtful starter this year, but he still finishes 15th best. Sickness has also plagued Greg LeMond, the American who wears the yellow jersey as defending champion. But armed with the revolutionary new handlebar, LeMond scorches around the 6.3 kilometres. As he turns for the finish, there's absolutely nothing in it. Raúl Alcalá is just 0.05 of a second slower. Greg LeMond is on top. Thierry Marie, one of Fignon's French teammates, is not a race favourite, but he is a specialist of short-distance time trialling. He won the stage in the prologue in the Tour de France in 1986, and here he sprints to a brilliant winning time of 7 minutes and 49 seconds. The second day of the Tour has 2 more stages at Futuroscope, a 138 kilometres road race to be followed by a 44 kilometres team time trial. Only minutes into the first stage, and there are 4 riders ahead of the race. At the front is the Frenchman Ronan Pensec of the Team Z. The Canadian Steve Bauer of 7-Eleven is at the back here, and with them is Italian Claudio Chiappucci of Carrera, and the Dutchman Frans Maassen from the Buckler team. The 4 gained 10 minutes by half distance, while a crash behind splits the field. Among the fallers is Pedro Delgado himself, after trees were dragged across the road by political demonstrators. All of the riders, the mechanics fastly working with spare wheels, puts them back in the race. Delgado and the stragglers soon catch the peloton, but the leaders remain 10 minutes ahead. Bauer is riding strongly in the front group. Bauer's the best of these 4 in the prologue time trial, and looks sure now to take the leader's yellow jersey away from the Frenchman, Thierry Marie. Bauer keeps up the pace right until the final sprint into Futuroscope to keep that 10-minute margin. But as the sprint begins, he can't hold off the strong challenge from Frans Maassen, who sprints to a fine stage victory. So the buckler team of Holland score early on this year, a win for Frans Maassen, but it is the Canadian Steve Bauer who takes over the race leadership. In the afternoon, Bauer rides strongly for his 7-11 team, remembering the 1988 Tour when he lost the leader's yellow jersey in this very team time trial. Now he defends a 2-second lead over Maassen. The Dutchman's buckler team ride well, but they will finish 8 seconds slower than the American 7-11 team of Steve Bauer by the finish. The Carrera team is strong, but Chiappucci, number 171, is struggling at the back. This team will concede 41 seconds to Steve Bauer's squad. And Greg LeMond leads the Z team. He hopes to push Pensek into the race lead. He was the fourth man in the breakaway this morning. They ride with style on the windswept course. This is Greg LeMond in second place, wearing the colours of the reigning world champion, the rainbow jersey. Their finishing burst takes them to a time of 54 minutes and 17 seconds, but this is 5 seconds short of an excellent time by 7-11, and it will leave Steve Bauer in the yellow jersey. There's also a keen battle for the actual stage win, and this is headed by the Panasonic team from Holland. They used to be the past master of team time trialling, and they race home this time with the best time, 53 minutes 24 seconds. Raul Alcala's PDM team come close, but they are slow by having to wait for the sick Eric Breking, and they finish 7 seconds short of Panasonic. So the race then moved out of Futuroscope down to the city of Poitiers, the third stage heading northwest towards Brittany. It was a ride of 228 kilometres. Rain is forecast for this third day of racing as the 198 riders head out of town. Then, 2 hours into the stage, the peloton is again stopped by the organisers. Another demonstration, this time by agricultural workers, is blocking the road ahead. It's decided to take a 16-kilometre diversion on narrow back roads. It works, and the demonstrators have missed out. The voice of Jean-Marie Leblanc explaining that the race is temporarily neutralised. Then the rain comes, but the speed increases. Italian Moreno Argentin makes a break, and the small group behind take up the chase. But Argentin holds on to win the stage in Nantes by French rider Gilles de Lyon of the Helvetia Swiss team who makes the first attack. He's joined by the Belgian Edwig van Hooijdonk from the buckler team. The pair work hard, but they are soon caught, and then there is another solo attack from Soren Lilholt of Denmark. A sprint, and it goes to Olaf Ludwig from the Panasonic team, 15 kilometres from the finish. As the pack regroup, dangers occur. Just behind the pack there is a crash, and it's split into these groups. The front group of 50 pushes up the pace and fights out the finish at Mont Saint-Michel. Ludwig in green leads the charge, but he goes far too early and has totally misjudged the finish. And as the pack come to the line, it's Belgian Johan Museeuw who sprints home for the win. Ludwig finishes only third. Laurent Fignon arrived in a group over 44 seconds behind. Stage 5 is the longest stage of the race, 301 kilometres across the hills of Normandy. It wasn't to be a happy day for Laurent Fignon, who's been suffering from the early hours of the day and isn't looking forward at all to the rest of it. The Frenchman Thierry Claverola sprinting for climbing points. He does all of this before the rain actually sets in for the rest of the day. The longest stage and the wettest. The rain demoralises Laurent Fignon even more, and although his fans still write his name on the street, the two-time winner drifts to the back of the field and then finally decides to quit the 1990 Tour de France. Laurent Fignon drops away from the back of the field and searches for his team car. By the end of the day, he'd be watching the Tour de France on television. Ahead, race leader Bauer discusses tactics with his team director Noel de Jonckere. And then he goes back up to the field. The greasy roads caused several crashes, including this one with former French champion Eric Carretou of the RMO team among the fallers. Then, with more than 70 kilometres still to race, it's the Dutchman Gerrit Zolleveld from the Buckler team who breaks away alone. He rides powerfully to gain a massive lead of 10 minutes. And by the time he reaches the finish, he is still 5 minutes clear in Rouen. Another stage win for the Buckler team. Two riders then move ahead of the pack on the rain-slick streets. And again, it's the Lotto's team man, Musieux, who's sprinting for second place. He was the winner yesterday at Mont Saint-Michel. He takes second place ahead of fellow Belgian Etienne de Wilde, while at the head of the pack, it's the East German Olaf Ludwig. On the sixth day, the riders board a plane for a 600 kilometres flight to eastern France on the German border. Race director Jean-Marie Leblanc always seems to be working. But for everybody else, including Greg LeMond, they enjoy the rest. Next day, stage 6 takes the race to the spa town of Vittel, 202.5 kilometres. It's raining again before the start, and it causes this gendarme to wave a yellow danger flag before a sharp left turn. But as the roads dry out, the speed dramatically increases. And the crosswinds cause several crashes again, including this one with rider number 68, Eric van Lanker from the Panasonic team. He's the last to get up. And another with the Helvetia riders Jean-Claude Leclerc and Guido Winterberg among the fallers, whereas Z-Team mechanic retrieves the bike of race runner-up Ronan Pensek. It's a painful business on these opening days of the Tour de France, but the riders usually do remount and always catch up with the field. 6 men fight out the uphill finish in Vittel, where Dutchman Jelle Nijdam gives Buckler its third stage win in this opening week with a well-timed sprint finish. Jelle Nijdam, whose father Henk was a world champion back in 1961, is a clear winner, ahead of Denmark's Jesper Skibby and the consistent Johan Museeuw. The breakaway has done nothing to alter the overall lead. Only 8 seconds later, Italian Adriano Baffi of Ariostia leads in the field. Stage 7 is a time trial, an important one, 61.5 kilometres long, over hilly roads between Vittel and Epinal. Favourites like Le Monde are hoping to make up some of their 10-minute deficit here on Bauer by fitting bigger chain rings, disc wheels and much lighter tyres. In time trialling, all of the lightest equipment is employed. Every tenth of a second counts. Mechanics adjust pedals, retape handlebars and tighten spokes in the quest for more speed. These are the bicycles that cost over $4,000 a piece. The riders are also well prepared with a good warm-up, even on a damp day. The weather is still dry when Pedro Delgado awaits his turn in the start house. 1988 Tour winner is launched onto the course. He knows just how important these time trials are deciding the eventual winner of the Tour de France. He makes the most of the conditions, storming along the road and taking risks on the descents. He's using his aerodynamic handlebars to cut through the wind to the full. He arrives at the finish in an outstanding time of 1 hour 19 minutes and 10 seconds, and that is the time to beat. This is a man who could beat it. Gianni Bugno is racing even better, and he will reach the finish 18 seconds better than Delgado. Delgado's young teammate Miguel Indurain also rides in the dry. When he gets to the finish, he will take the lead, 23 seconds better than Bugno. Back in Vitel, Le Mans has again chosen his extreme handlebars. He knows how hard he has to ride to beat Indurain, and he focuses all of his energy as he takes the countdown to his start. Despite the rain which is now falling, Greg LeMond is already catching riders who have started ahead of him. He storms through the 20 kilometers point, 12 seconds better than Indurain, and seems to be heading for victory. LeMond literally buries himself as he tries now to set the best time of the day. At the start, Alcala mounts his machine, and he sets out at a seemingly suicidal speed. Quickly into his rhythm, Alcala climbs the hills out of the saddle. And pushing an enormous gear, Raul Alcala rides in a superb controlled style. And after only 20 kilometers, he's a stunning 45 seconds quicker than Greg LeMond. At the finish, LeMond is finishing slower than Indurain, Bugno and Delgado. While back in Vitel, the race leader, Steve Bauer, is determined to keep the yellow jersey. He's not a time trial expert, but his muscular legs hold tremendous power. Alcala is 90 seconds faster than Indurain, the best time at the arrival point. Meanwhile, Ronan Pensek sets out from Vitel, hoping he can make up the 34 seconds on Steve Bauer he needs to take over the race leader's yellow jersey. Bauer doesn't take any chances on the rain-slick turns into Epinal. And he comes into the finish with a steady 14th place. While Pensek risks everything. And he beats Bauer by 17 seconds, but it wasn't enough. Chiappucci also rides strongly to finish 15th. Overall, Bauer now leads Pensek by 17 seconds, and Chiappucci here by a minute. With the Alps still 2 days away, Stage 8 gives the sprinters a last chance of a stage win. It's a ride of 181.5 kilometers. The French teams, Castorama Rally, Toshiba and RMO, are particularly active in the wet over the early kilometers. They haven't won a stage since Marie's success in the prologue. After 32 kilometers, the RMO rider Michel Vermont of Belgium breaks clear, and nobody chases him. He's fighting a strong headwind, and halfway through the stage, his lead is up to almost 12 minutes. The peloton eventually organise their pursuit. Vermont struggles in the strong wind, and after 120 kilometers alone, he's caught. And so in Besançon, 13 riders have broken clear, and with Bruno Cornier still trying for the French win. But it's the green jersey of Olaf Ludwig who sprints in to give East Germany its first ever and its last stage win in the Tour de France. 21 seconds later, the peloton arrives, led home by the sprinter Adriano Baffi of Italy. The ninth stage takes in the steep ridges of the Jura Mountains into Switzerland. between Besançon and Geneva. It's a turning point for men like Breking, Duclos Lazao and Ronan Pensek. And riding out of Besançon alongside the River Doubs, Pensek leads the pack with Greg LeMond. In the hills, there's an attack by the Spaniard Eduardo Chozas and the Italian Massimo Girotto. They are chased by French champion Philippe Louvio from the Toshiba team. The French are still trying for that win. On the fast descent of the Col de la Fosile, where the pack is 2 minutes behind, the two leaders race on towards the finish. Then, 15 kilometres from Geneva, another Frenchman, Christophe Leven, sets off in pursuit. Christophe was the rider who thought he'd won back in Rouen the previous week. But Chozas and Girotto are out of reach, and Girotto easily wins the stage on the shores of Lac Léman. Leven stays clear of the pack, though, and he takes third place. He's followed home by Danish champion Brian Holm, Louvio and the Swiss rider Yogi Muller. Then by a group led home by Gilles de Lyon. And finally, 37 seconds late, Museo sprints in at the head of the main field. What a sprinter this man is turning out to be. The whole field winds into Geneva for a very brief stay in Switzerland. Steve Bauer still wears the yellow jersey before stage 10, which takes them off towards the Alps. It's a ride of 118.5 kilometres to the base of the beautiful Mont Blanc. The peloton at first seem reluctant to leave Geneva, and they ride slowly past the city's most famous lake. The first climb sees an immediate attack. It's led by Roberto Conti of Ariostia, Cornier of Zed, and Omar Hernandez of Postobon, and with them Patrick Robit of the Weinman team. The pack starts to split up. Ahead, TVM rider Jesper Skibby is dropped from the leading breakaway. And the sprinter Olaf Ludwig is also dropped at the back. Eric Breking is feeling better today, and he animates the pursuit. From the pack, a small group emerges. It features Raoul Alcala on the far side, Charlie Motte nearest, and the boy in black there, the Belgian Claude Coquillon. This is Stephen Roach. An attack comes from the 1987 winner of the Tour de France, but he's chased all of the way by Z Team's Robert Miller. In front, French climber Thierry Claverola of Motte's RMO team, Conti and Rabit. Three of them work well together. By the summit of the Col de Colombière, Claverola is clear on his own. Roberto Conti is in second place, and this is Robert Miller who leads the pack. Ahead of Dutchman Steven Rooks, Colombian Fabio Parra, Alcala, Belgian Johan Bruneel. Then comes Roach, and this is America's Andy Hampston. Pensek is here as well, and the tall Indurain zips up his collar for the cold descent. The descent is a fast one. Riders touching 80 kilometres an hour, but the pack soon climbing again, led here by Eric Van Lanker and Charlie Motte on the right. Ahead, Motte's teammate Claverola gains with every pedal stroke. He's riding like a man inspired. And at the Aravis summit, he's 2 minutes ahead of the pack. Roberto Conti is still chasing from the second place here.